And then everyone I just started the live stream, so just so you know. And then everyone I just
I'm feeling good.
Look at John's background.
I can have a cooler background.
I love your background, John. moving boxes.
You don't see a crazy puppy running around in my background, so that's a good thing, I think.
You got one in my background.
I'm muted. Good evening.
There's Bob,
Hey.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, indeed.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, Cameron. Good to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
Can everybody else hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Yep.
All right. All right. Hello, Carmen. How are you?
Hi, Mayor. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Thank you. Oh, there you are. I was going to say good to see you, but I couldn't find you. There you are.
It's such a good looking gallery.
I agree. But one thing about us all is we wear glasses. Everybody wears glasses. Art and Jim looks like he's trying to get on.
Here's Jim.
John Curtis. And we see that Scott Pennell looked at the top of his sheet and made sure he got here on time.
The right sheet was on top.
Oh, see how he does that. Hey, Jim, how are you? All right, I'm going to give one more minute for John Curtis to get here.
Jimmy, you're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Is Art here in the meeting?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think he might have an issue. Hold on one second.
See John Curtis coming on. We still don't have any audio from Jim.
Yeah, I had an issue getting on too. I just lost. Where'd it go?
Jim, I think your phone might be muted. It says on my end that you've got a mute on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You sound good.
What's the
Jim?
deal? Why is everything changed on this?
Because we needed to have a more secure meeting than what we were using. And also this function that we're using now will allow the mayor to control the meeting so that he can run the meeting like he would at City Hall.
Well, that's awesome, but there's no way to dial in to get on. There's no password or anything.
There is a dial-in function on that email. It's on about 6 lines down. It says on iPhone 1 tap or telephone dial.
Yeah. And then there's no ID number. It puts you in as a guest where you cannot be unmuted or unmuted.
The webinar ID is on there. It did not let you put it in when you were going into the meeting. It didn't have an option.
I get that, and I put that in there, and it didn't matter.
Okay, I will work on fixing that for you so that doesn't happen again.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. It's 6:04, November 23rd, 2020. This is a work session with the City Council of Idaho Springs. We have just a few things to discuss. I've got a feeling this is gonna go by pretty quick. Unfortunately, we can't start our regular meeting until 7 o'clock. So with that, we have Cameron Marlin on with us. As she is the executive director, the new executive director at the Rec Center. And they've come up with a plan to be able to provide some fun things to do in our community over the winter time. There's been talk for quite some years about putting an ice rink in, but I always thought water and freeze it. But Cameron's gonna talk about another idea and how this will work, because I'm sure that we scratch our heads and say, how are we ever going to stay cold enough to keep that ice frozen? So Cameron, take it away.
Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate the introduction. And so hello to all of you guys. You may remember that I used to work at the library district before coming on board here at the rec district. The presentation that we're going to go through tonight is actually going to be given by Samantha Dine. And so I'm actually going to turn it over to her. It looks like she's got it ready to go. So thank you guys. We really appreciate your time.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right. So thank you. As Cameron said, thank you so much for having us here this evening. My name is Sam Dine. And we are super excited to present to you this evening the district's latest project, our ice rink at Digger Field. So tonight we'll be discussing the need for an outdoor ice rink, the unique opportunity of locating the rink at Digger Field, the rationale for synthetic ice, and how the city and community can help us bring this vision to life. Outdoor recreation has been a defining quality of Clay Creek County's long before COVID-19. The pandemic has prompted us to maximize outdoor programming as much as possible, and the recent move to level red has further evidenced that need. Outdoor recreation provides our community with resources for promoting physical and mental wellness, but it also provides DCMRD with a revenue stream that is less vulnerable to public health mandated closures. Opportunity at Digger Field. We approached the school district last month to see what the possibility was for us to use Digger Field for an ice rink for the winter. Those conversations evolved into a plan bigger than I think any of us first imagined. We are not talking about some dinky little ice rink here. We have envisioned a space that will serve our local community, that will bring additional revenue to our businesses and restaurants, and that will provide employment opportunities. Perhaps most importantly, this outdoor opportunity will still be able to operate even if we were to move into a level purple with a stay-at-home public health order. We envision not only an ice rink, but a space where local restaurants from across the county serve food, where community members and visitors alike can eat safely. We see a space to the west end of the field where children can run around in the snow after their skate sessions, while parents drink coffee and eat burritos from the food trucks. Social distance is a must. Masks must be worn on the rink, but we can offer our community and visitors a safe space for them to enjoy this winter. I was very excited when I discovered Gleis. Not only are synthetic ice rinks significantly less expensive to install and maintain than traditional ice rinks, but the whole idea behind them fits in perfectly with the district's energy efficiency project with solar panels that is currently underway. These rinks use no water, require minimal energy, they are 100% recyclable and non-toxic, and they have significantly fewer emissions than natural ice rinks. In the world of synthetic ice rinks with varying degrees of quality, it is important that we use a high quality product in order for this project to be a success. That is why we've chosen to go with Gleis. I just want to show you a quick video.
It's unreal in my mind how plastic can be so similar to a normal ice.
One of the best experiences that I've ever had away from the ice, which was epic.
It's such an easy tool to put anywhere.
We have founded Gleis with the vision to find a substitute for real ice, which meets the expectations of the ice hockey players and ice skaters.
In terms of the edge control, how it felt, it was incredible. It was almost effortless, which was something that I hadn't really experienced on synthetic.
Our dream is to democratize ice skating because ice skating should be available to all the people and kids on this planet.
The tight turns, you don't slip away, open up your hips and all that stuff, it works on it, so it's pretty good.
I think it's the best way if you're not on ice to skate and shoot like you're on the real ice.
Ignore my dog in the background, sorry. In addition to this, a couple weeks ago, Cameron and I took a trip down to a small rink in Denver, and we were really impressed to see how easy skating on the rink was. I'm just gonna show you a little clip of that real quick.
For people who are learning.
Yes.
Okay. In addition to that, we also have a former Disney on Ice princess who works for us. And when we spoke to her how she felt about synthetic ice, we were encouraged to hear that she felt that unless you are a professional skater, you really can't tell the difference on good quality synthetic rinks. The importance of providing a top-of-the-line synthetic rink to our community comes with a large price tag. As you can imagine, the impacts of COVID have significantly decreased the district's revenue. And like many of our local businesses, we have been challenged financially. For that reason, it is critical that we secure considerable amounts of outside funding. Already, the community support we are seeing for this project is amazing. Not only has Clear Creek School District provided us with a world-class location free of charge, but they have also been quick to answer our questions and provide support if needed. Super Q has written that CCSD is in full support of an ice rink and associated activities occurring at Digger Field, and that providing a place for youth and adults to exercise, socialize, and be together is essential for both physical and mental health. Public Health Director Dr. Timothy Ryan has also put his support in writing, reiterating our belief that outdoor recreation is more important and needed than ever before due to the pandemic. He has expressed how outdoor activities present a lower risk of exposure, how they offer greater flexibility within provincial public health mandated restrictions, and echoed the sentiment that recreation in general is a proven remedy for depression and other mental health challenges. Henderson has provided their support and committed to making a $2,500 donation to phase 1. In addition to these, we have received written support from Clay Creek County Board of Commissioners, Mountain Youth Network, various community members, and verbal support from CCEDC and the Idaho Springs Chamber. We have also received an additional $5,500 from another local entity. However, we are not permitted to make a public announcement at this time. We have projected a revenue of $50,000 in year 1. Our calculations are conservative as they reflect the capacity limitations of COVID. We anticipate a resident fee of $7 to enter and a $3 skate rental fee. We are also exploring the possibilities of night skating, sessions, food truck rental space, private rentals, family night, and gold digger spirit night. In addition to generated revenue, we will be relying on the support of our community. For that reason, we are now in the process of reaching out to local and regional organizations with sponsorship requests. Part of our fundraising strategy includes a banner program at various levels of financial commitment and a corporate sponsorship program. Corporate sponsors are considered our top tier partners. We see these as organizations and entities that understand the value of fun and safe outdoor amenities for local residents and visitors to enjoy. They see the potential in the vibrant spectator space where takeout food from local restaurants can be enjoyed. And finally, they are eager to support a promising new initiative that will bring joy and a sense of hope to our community. We see the city of Idaho Springs as a direct beneficiary of this project and also to consider being a corporate sponsor. We have had preliminary conversations with Andy Marsh and Jonathan Kane regarding the idea of this project. It is clear to see that this is an idea that has huge potential for collaboration that would be a win-win for us both. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Are there any questions you may have?
Thank you, Samantha, for the presentation. I'm going to open it up to council for some questions because I have one also. So I'll start. When somebody rents the skates, is there a time limit that they can be on the ice so it has a turnover so more people can be using it?
So we will be doing hour-long sessions, and that will be to make sure that everyone gets a fair chance at it, but then also to make sure we're staying within the limitations we have for COVID.
Samantha, I have a question. So what are the anticipated hours of operation?
So currently we've based it off being open Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. and then 6 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And then during, the winter holidays and any days that there's no school days, we would open up from 10 to 6 p.m. as well.
Okay. And so after like 5 o'clock at that last hour, are you going to be under the lights?
So that is something we're still currently looking at. We're looking to put in solar lighting over the rink. And we're also looking at the possibility of renting lights that we could plug in, but we won't be using the Diggerfield lights.
Okay. And one last question. I think you may or may not be familiar. That's the heli spot that's used for medical evacuations. Right. So have we appraised fire and EMS that they're gonna lose that space?
So we will be in touch with them. We won't be taking up the whole field. I can go back to the plan if you would like.
No, I saw the diagram.
Okay, that there should still be space for the helicopter to land.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah.
Okay, a question on that first year's revenue. Are you looking at year-round operation with this material or just in the colder season?
Yeah, at this time, we're looking at opening for 120 days. So currently the season would end at the middle of April.
Okay. Thank you.
Are we covered for liability insurance if someone has a fall or anything in that area?
Yep, so the district has full liability insurance. already in the process of having this amenity added to our insurance. But it's the rec district that will cover all the costs on that.
Okay, thank you.
So I think I don't know what documents I was looking through, but there was a rental option and a purchase option. Y'all, the district is looking at doing the rental option the first time around. Is that correct?
Yes, so that was our first step into the project to go to our board, was to rent the rink, and we'll have 30 days from installation to decide if we'd like to purchase the rink. And then in that time, if we do that within 30 days, the entire amount of our rental will go towards the purchase.
What was the purchase price? Around 100,000?
Yes.
How's the snow removed on the rink?
So it depends. So first of all, the rink will be covered with a top. So if it's not too much snow, we might be able to just kind of pull it off. But we'll also be using snow shovels and a leaf blower. If we can use a snow blower on it, but we're potentially thinking that it'll be easier to remove it with snow shovels and the leaf blower than to get a snow blower out there.
So they can actually still skate on it if there's snow and water on it?
If it's snowing, they can skate on it. If we had heavy snow in the night or maybe in the morning, we'd need to remove that snow. But if there's a thin layer on there, it would be okay to run still.
Just curious, I'm not familiar with this material. It seems like there's a lot of slicing and dicing, and I'm just wondering, how long does it last?
So it will have a 12-year warranty on it, but both sides can be used. So you can use one side for 12 years and then flip it over and use the next side for 12 years.
Are you installing it yourself, or is that company installing it for you?
We will be installing it ourselves.
So in the event that we like this and the district decides to go ahead and purchase it, knowing that somewhere in the future that Gold Digger Field and the bus farm property are probably going to become a development, what are your ideas past Gold Digger Field, and how would we continue to use that?
So at this time, if we were to lose Gold Digger Field, even during the season, we would go ahead and relocate the rink to the baseball field.
Okay.
I thought the field was purchased. I thought the school sold that property.
Yes,
No.
but we still have permission to use it through the majority, if not all, of the season.
And the property has not been formally sold. It's under negotiations right now. They did pick a group that they were going to start entertaining concepts and discussion with, but it has not formally been sold.
Okay, all right, thank you.
What about parking in that area?
I'm sorry?
What about parking in that
So
area?
we would use the dirt lot that's down there, but because of COVID, we're limited to a max of 25 people on the rink at a time. However, we foresee probably only allowing 10 to 15 people on at a time. So we don't see, and we've talked to the school district as well, we'll be able to use that dirt lot that's by Digger Field.
What are the dimensions of the rink again? I missed that on the drawing.
They 30 by 65?
Yes.
30 by 65, is that correct?
I think it's 65 by 33.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, council?
Are the current lights at the field still working, or you can't use the current lights?
I am not sure if they're working, but we've been informed I believe it's like $1,200 every time you turn them on. And so that's completely out of our budget.
Right, the lights over there, unfortunately, they're on demand. They're not metered. So every time the district turns them on, they get a bill from Xcel Energy for, I thought it was more like $1,400 or $1,500, but
that's what I had heard as well.
Yeah, so we won't be using those.
They were also damaged a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Really?
So as far as a sponsorship, it looks like a corporate sponsorship is $2,500 plus. Is that what you're asked? Are you here to ask the council for participation and help fund this endeavor?
Yes, and I am going to turn it over to Cameron. If that's okay with her.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of cleaning. What was the question?
So we were discussing that we are requesting that the city be a corporate sponsor for the project.
Yes, please. We think that there's a great amount of value to be earned by the city through the ice rink. I'm sorry, I'm running around out of breath. And we also believe that there are funds that were set aside for some programs that could not occur this summer because of COVID. And so a contribution from the city would really help us to lessen the burden of the cost. Not only that, we have been working on developing a plan to bring delivery food to the rink. And we've also have a partnership in the works with Mountain Youth Network for their pedicabs. So we believe that the rink is really going to help promote local businesses in the historic downtown area. And the outdoor eating area really was inspired by the Minor Street outdoor eating area that was available this summer. And so we believe that we can provide more outdoor eating space that was lost. And even if the city does move forward with doing the one-way directional traffic, we think that there still could be an opportunity to bring more visitors and more revenue to our town and our community and the county as well. So we think that it would be mutually beneficial for the city to make a contribution to this project that could really help bring financial gain to your end as well.
All right. Any other questions from council? And Cameron and Sam, you know that during a work session that we would not be able to take a ruling on this or approve any funds going out. So we won't do that here. How fast are you looking at needing to have a to know that if the city can participate in this?
Well, we're happy to tune into your council meeting that starts at 7, but definitely the sooner the better would be good for us, as we're hoping to get this installed by mid-December. And so contributions made prior to that would help us out significantly.
Okay, because that's gonna, yeah, okay, all right. Council, would you like to add this to our and Carmen, correct me if I'm wrong, can we add this to our regular meeting at 7 o'clock?
Yes, you could, Mayor. You know, the open meetings law does require council, as you know, to put together your agenda in as much specificity as possible, but case law also does recognize that sometimes things come up. So when you approve the agenda, Mayor and council, you could approve it as amended if you like and add this where appropriate.
Got that, Chuck?
Mayor, I'd really like to see that. Yeah.
That's usually our go-to guy for motion.
Our motion maker. All right.
Motion maker. There you go. So we will, when we approve the agenda, we'll add this topic on, and between now and then I'll figure out exactly where to put it. So, all right. You know, Rec District, again, welcome Cameron for your position, and Sam, all the things you're doing there. We know these are tough times on all of us, whether it's it's our personal lives or our business lives, or our community lives, which y'all take care of. Doing things for our community to recreate with our residents and our citizens of our community and people that come in and use our facility, and it's great. So with that, I'm going to get last comments from anybody on council.
Intriguing.
When there's no question, Sam, that means you did a great job. That's where you always want to do when you do a presentation. I've learned
it was a good presentation.
Thank you. Well, thank you for taking the time to listen. We're really excited about this.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. And we'll
Thank
get to
you.
that at 7. All right, let's move on. We still have a little bit of time. Holiday tree lighting update, John. You're on mute, John.
I apologize. Mayor and Council, I was approached by Santa's representative in Clear Creek County, who is Mr. Bill Lee. He asked if we would be interested in doing a virtual Santa event for the kids of Idaho Springs, which has long been a tradition in our community. I have listed a couple of alternatives for the way that might work. The first is that we film the tree lighting and the mayor reading the night before Christmas, and then we could publish that on our website. The second is we could hold a community forum, which would look much like this. It would give us an opportunity to have Santa and the mayor could both talk to the children of Idaho Springs. We may be able to actually take kind of a cool Zoom picture of children with Santa Claus on the screen that you see here. So a child and Santa side by side, which, you know, kind of sums up 2020 for a good souvenir, I think. And then option 3 is we could just not hold an event this year and plan for next year. This event has a long tradition in Idaho Springs. It's kind of important to a lot of people. We have budgeted in the community promotions line item of the budget $1,000 for this event. I anticipate the only cost we would have would be to pay for Santa's services for him to visit our community. Other than that, we wouldn't really have any other expenses. It's likely going to be less than $1,000, but it would require negotiation depending on what we choose.
What I would say to that is, you know, any of the, I don't mind filming out there and doing it. What I would really like to try to figure out is, one, we can't do it for this weekend. We're behind the 8 ball to try to get it done this weekend. And do you think we would have enough, or, you know, I guess we don't have to have 70 people on. Do you think we would draw, you know, 20 to 25 people that are going to get on that would want to watch this and participate in this? You know, 2020 has been, you know, the my value that I get out of that event is being able to be out there, being with our community, watching the kids sit around and enjoying themselves, having our magicals coming in from the high school and do some caroling, and you know, it's going to be much different this year. So whatever we decide to do, I'm on board for it. I'm just a little. I just think that we're just not going to get the response and the views that we would like to do. And if we just get it and put it on the Facebook page or the website, that people could actually just go there, click on it, watch it for 3 minutes while I read or something like that. That would be fun as well. Thoughts, council?
My grandkids went to see Santa, and he was behind plexiglass. And they got to talk to him, get their picture. You know, they turned around and he was behind them. Got a picture with it. I know it's a little short to put that up right now. Just a thought.
Andy and I had discussed a similar option, and that would be on the table as well. We were trying to think about, you know, protecting that budget a little bit and being fiscally responsible. But we certainly could try to put something like that together. Mr. Lee had said that Santa might be willing to bring some reindeer with him as well to downtown and Citizens Park. You know, that could be a thing that attracts a crowd though. So there are some concerns about, you know, creating a petting zoo in Citizens Park essentially. But I think it could be a great thing if we feel we can do something safely that council is comfortable with. The other thing, Frothy Cup told me that they'd be willing to help me with cocoa for the event, similar to how we did the cleanup day where people could just go and get a cocoa like as a takeout thing. And so that could be another, you know, we probably would, you know, given the code red that we're under where they're only able to have takeout sales, it may be good to help them with that cost, but that could be something else we do.
You know, Jonathan, I was reading that and I thought, number one, those folks at the Frothy Cup, that is really nice for them to offer to do that. And I do think it's something that could be controlled so it was done in a safe manner.
Yeah, I'm feeling we shouldn't drop something just totally. You know, to have something that's obviously just going to be a little bit compared to the usual year and certainly different, but to just drop it totally, I think sends kind of the wrong message. We need to keep going forward a little bit, even at a lower level. And I just don't like to have a total gap. It seems to me some positive thing from the city, even though it's minimal, would be good during the holidays. Besides, Mike reads a real heck of a good Night Before Christmas.
You know, I like that, Bob. Well, I think we ought to just record it in some capacity, John, and try to do a live like we do meetings. I'm not sure that, you know, especially, well, it depends on when we do it. I don't think that's going to get a lot of viewage. I'd rather try to put it out there on Facebook and stuff like that. And then use the remainder of the money that we're not spending out of that $1,000 to either help fund the Slice Rink, or did I say that right? Slice Rink? And, and maybe be a little bit of an extra kick in that maybe council decides that since we're not spending that money, maybe we can throw that in to help the rec district out a little bit more.
Would we want to just record the story, or should I talk to Santa again and see about his pricing for something like that?
Yeah, I would think that that Bill Lee wouldn't be too expensive for me to well, if we have it bring a reindeer down, that's probably going to be a little bit different. But if it's just Santa Claus and myself, he probably would charge us an arm and a leg for something like that.
Okay.
Community oriented. So yeah, I would suggest, yeah. Does anybody have any other thoughts or ideas?
How would the mayor look as Santa Claus? Maybe you don't want to go there much.
My only other question.
Why don't we do that? Go ahead, John.
I say, would it be okay to not aim for this weekend, but maybe the next to do this, or?
Well, what I would say is not this weekend, but the next. Yeah, that way that Bill and I could get together sometime during the week and do the Christmas tree lighting and story and get it filmed.
Great.
What's everybody else think?
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Andy?
So we've decided on alternative one, just to confirm, right?
To record it? Correct.
I think essentially that's right.
Okay.
The thing about getting people together this year, my feeling is it's gonna be a little even more intense as time goes on. And I think we just don't want to encourage it. It's unfortunate, but just the circumstance.
Yep, and I lean towards Bob, thinking that, you know, this is something that's been going on in this community for many, many years, and however we can work around, you know, we can't let COVID beat us. So I think it's a good idea to get something filmed and at least do our best try to make it an event still being done in Idaho Springs. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Flower update. Here we talk about flowers in November. How you like that, John?
Mayor and Council, we've been working to finalize a proposed order for flowers. We tried to accomplish two things. One, we tried to keep the costs down, and two, we tried to make sure we got mature plants and the right plants for Public Works to be comfortable, you know, for the workload for Public Works to manage. In my staff report, I listed our 2020 order. One change in 2020 that was very successful is we ordered 1 gallon plants of annuals, which provided us with larger plants. And so for our climate, with the uncertainty of the weather in early June, that is a really big benefit for us. And I think the flowers look beautiful. Public Works did a great job with them this year, and they lasted us well, I think, till Halloween, basically. So in the second half of my staff report, I have a proposed order. One thing I did is cut down on the amount of licorice vine we purchased. We got a lot of licorice vine last year, so I tried to minimize that a bit. We also bumped up the amount of annuals that we were thinking about ordering for the beds, with the anticipation of doing the bed at City Hall and then the 2 beds at Citizens Park with annuals. The rest of the order is the same. There is a, I intended to have, is the map, do you guys have the map for those flowers? They look like they got cut out of the staff report. I apologize. Essentially, those 43 larger barrels go on the corners of Minor Street between 13th and 17th, essentially is where they are. They're at the library, they're at Citizens Park, and at CRC Park and City Hall. Those are where we usually put flower pots. The hanging baskets go into Citizens Park onto the lampposts there. Those are the only lampposts we're allowed to put hanging baskets on. We've been working with Calabrese to try to make this process as smooth and easy and as little burden on Public Works as possible. They are willing to deliver those bigger pots on location, which I think will save us a significant amount of time. They're also committing to this June 4th delivery date. Typically that's the day or not always the day we do it. We try to do it on the Thursday before the weekend. The unfortunate thing for us is if we deliver on Memorial Day, the last 3 years have been too cold for flowers. And it's a real hard day for us to get them. And then we don't want to lose all the flowers because of that. So that June 4th date is pretty safe. We have a alternate date of the week after, the Thursday after that, for delivery, if it is snowy. The only other thing that's really important in my staff report is the bed at City Hall. It is essentially dead dirt at this point and needs to be, I've been told it needs to be dug and just kind of re-put together. And so that could be something we take care of in the spring. It's just going to take a couple of bags of dirt, and I'm going to make Andy come dig it up with me on a Saturday. So we'll just get that taken care of. The last thing, there's been quite a few businesses that have requested city flowers in the program this year, especially. We talked about figuring out a way to do that, but the question is, with this difficult winter ahead of us, there's some uncertainty for people, and we want to make sure that they only order flowers if they're ready for them in the spring. And so I have talked to Calabrese about potentially making sure that they can put a couple of those similar barrels together this spring, like in March, if businesses tell them, and that should be good. But for our purposes, getting bigger flowers and just kind of getting it on the docket early is a good thing, just to make sure that we get the best flowers in the state. So my request for direction is whether or not this flower order is sufficient for the city's needs, or if we want to change it at all, or if you guys have any thoughts or considerations for what we should do with this program, this community promotions program.
What was our cost last year? What was it cost last year for flowers?
I believe it was right under $9,000. It was like $8,600.
And what are we looking at putting? Is that the same you're trying to put in the budget for this year?
Yeah, I think that's what's in, Andy. I'm not 100% sure what's in that line item, but I know it's very similar.
It's the same amount.
Okay.
You know, it seems like the return on that amount of money is fantastic for the way it works downtown. It lasts a big part of the year, our busiest part of the year. And I think you've dialed in the program really nicely, to tell you the truth. One, I do have a question. The licorice vine, is that large leaf, very light green vine? Yeah, that is really attractive. And I'm glad.
It makes the beds look full too, which is great because they're large beds.
Yeah, that's okay. Anyway, it seems to me you're pretty much on target, personally.
Will that $8,600 cover the digging up and re-putting some good soil at City Hall?
Calabrese had they had a change in their provider of flowers. And so he thinks the cost is going to be relatively similar to what we saw this year. He's hoping for no increase, but we haven't got a finalized cost yet. I think that we should be able to get it happening. We could have done it this year, but COVID happened and we were scrambling on Minor Street Marketplace and all these other things. So I think we can make it work.
Andy?
Hey, John, would you just touch on the idea of a barrier for Minor Street with the flowers in it?
Yeah, Mayor was working on a barricade this year for the Minor Street Marketplace for in between the avenues. And the idea would be to have some sort of flower barrier instead of, this year we had the barrels and then we had the regular construction style barrier in the middle. And there may be an opportunity to pursue that a little bit further in the future, especially if we decide that Minor Street operations will continue in the summer of the marketplace. That would be something worth doing to just kind of beautify it a little bit. I think the general idea would be a trough kind of thing with the, a barrier and then the flowers in the trough. But, of course that could be, I don't think they came up with a finalized design, Mr. Hillman, but I think that's kind of where we were going.
Yeah, it's something like that on wheels is what what we're looking at, absolutely. So those things can be pushed aside for any emergency response or street sweeping or anything like that. Okay, any other questions for John on flowers?
Looking good.
All right.
Really good.
This will give us about 15 minutes to take a little break if you need it. If not, you're welcome to sit here and chat with each other. Andy?
Mayor, I think there's one other agenda item.
Yeah, the Minor Street.
Oh, I was going to do, well, it's not online. I was just going to do that under my report on our regular. Okay, is that good? Or we can talk about it now, either one. Let's talk about it now since we have 15 minutes. Everybody still here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this past week, of course, with level red going into our effect on Friday night, you know, all the businesses downtown and throughout the city and the county as a whole has really been trying to figure out what we're going to do with no indoor seating. How can we reactivate some of the outdoor stuff in our downtown community and throughout the community? What we did is we did a walkthrough last Friday. The group that we have every Tuesday, and this is what we base most of our decisions on to bring back to council, is a group collaboration to make sure that everybody's on board or the majority is on board with what we're trying to do. What we found out is there's a lot of businesses that do not want to use the street. They're on the south side, south curb line, and in front of their buildings on Minor Street. They never get any sun. It's always frozen. It's always shaded, so they didn't feel the need. However, on the north curb line, we do have some businesses that think there could be some opportunity for them to activate the street a little bit and bring some picnic tables back out and some other ideas, you know, on days that are a little bit nicer. You know, people are already coming home from skiing. They already have ski gear on. So, and I saw it this weekend. I looked at my thermostat on my truck. It was 48 degrees. I drove by Tommy Knockers and I drove by West End and Down, and they had people sitting outside in their ski clothes, enjoying a beer and eating. So I just wanted to run this by council. We've come up with a plan, a walkthrough plan. We're gonna have to modify it a little bit because we did find out there's gonna be a couple of businesses. They decided just for the next 6 to 8 weeks just to close down. They felt that it would be more advantageous and with their revenues to try to survive by just closing down and let their employees go to unemployment. So what the idea is on that north side, and also we're going to allow on the south side buildings and businesses to activate the mall and some of the parking lot area. You know, we talk about taking up parking spaces and putting tents or structures or anything on them. And of course, I was like, well, we're going to lose parking on Minor Street, and we're going to lose parking back there. But then they reminded me that without indoor seating, we're not going to have a parking problem at all. So all on board with it. We had there's probably about 10 or 12 of us out walking the downtown and the mall, and came up with a very strategic plan for us to make this happen. I just wanted to run this by council, get any thoughts is everybody okay with us trying to do this and provide for our businesses, or does anybody have some comments that might make us think a different way?
Mayor, I think it's imperative that our businesses survive, even with this help. You know, a lot of them may not. I think probably is the best thing we can do in an ugly situation.
And then on our conversation today, we talked about maybe closing 16th Street down to see if we can space some picnic tables in there. We have a couple of folks that will provide an employee to keep everything picked up and wiped down and sanitized like they're supposed to be. So that's another idea that it came up today in our meeting. So we're going to look at that because there's a lot of back and forth about alcohol sales and people wanting to, because we can sell alcohol to go. And the last thing we want is them to take that alcohol, go sit in the park at one of those tables and do public consumption, because that's illegal to do in our city. So we're working on that. This is a great group, and we're just trying to find a way to provide some outdoor seating for people that are picking up pizzas or burgers or Mexican food in the downtown area. And to hear that the businesses are more than willing to either pull all together and hire a couple of employees just to maintain that area, and then everybody kind of pitch in for their salary or something like that. So, this downtown business group there, and I've said it before, there's not anybody on this group that's a me type person. Everybody's looking out for each other, whether it's, a local bar or a pastry shop, that people are at our meetings. Everybody constantly says, well, what about so-and-so? And we say, oh, yeah, we need to look at that, maybe contact them. So it's a great working group, and the accomplishments, what we did over the summer and how we're heading into the winter. I'm very confident that we'll put something together that is good and valuable to our community and our business owners.
Can we allow them to use portable heaters if they decide to do so, if the fire authority thinks it's safe? I mean, a lot of restaurants throughout the United States are doing that, depending on their locale, if it's legal or not. But would we be open to that if it was sanctioned?
It's absolutely legal to do that, Art.
Okay.
And a lot of the restaurants have already talked about doing that. And then we have one restaurant owner that also has a business up in Breckenridge. And he said, to leave those things running for any amount of time, it gets really expensive. You go through it. He said in the course of a day, it's 3 tanks, 1 heater. And I think those tanks run about $25 a piece. So if you're looking at $75 a day and 1 heater, and then you times that by 5, then does it make sense to try to heat outdoors?
But I mean, if they were willing,
up to the business owner. That's
yeah, exactly. If they wanted to do it, we could allow it at their expense.
Absolutely.
Question, Mike, are the encroachment agreements still in effect?
They are still in effect. If there is any modification of different areas, and I'll throw out there, the Westbound and Down wants to borrow, if you will, about 8 parking places right behind his building. And we'll allow him to do that, but he'll have to get an additional encroachment agreement because his original one didn't cover that area. So anybody that has to modify their encroachment agreement will have to get with Diane and make sure that all the paperwork and everything's done properly and submitted to the city.
How about if someone's next to a business that decided to close for the winter? Would we give them that opportunity as well if they wanted to expand in front of a business that's closed?
Yeah, well, actually, this business is on the north curb line, and after Greg, it's Greg from the Cidery. He said that it would probably be better for him to shut down and probably not needing to activate a block off that area and run to his building, which is good because that frees up more parking places on Minor Street and less area for people to throw snow over, because that's the other requirement is going to be you have this area and you have an encroachment agreement. That also means that snow removal is going to be a part of this, not just your sidewalk, but the area that we're allowing you to use.
Mike, I'd like a little more clarification on the use of Westbound and Down, or by Westbound and Down on 8 parking places. And I'm wondering if we could maybe do the paperwork to review that partway through, because I'm a little nervous, going through the whole season with 8 parking spaces back there tied up. And I don't know, maybe it won't be a problem, but I don't know if it's a bad precedent or what.
Everybody in the working group was completely supportive of it. Didn't have any, because that was my big thing. If we activate these streets, people are going to be using parking. And everybody said, we're not worried about parking right now. You can't have anybody inside. So, it's going to be the shoppers. And we think we've got plenty of parking going into the next couple of months for our retailers.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess my only thought would be, would make a review point with it, or, where it could be, and maybe through this one season is okay, but just has to have an end point for review. Because that could go on.
That's the way we'll craft those encroachment agreements, is there'll be a date certain that it's done. Because you're right, we don't want to, this is working great. We want to keep those 8 parking places. And then we get into our summer business and we say 8 parking places is really valuable. So, yeah, they will have a date certain on it, Bob. The
Okay.
and then we'll reevaluate it at that time.
Terrific. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Andy?
Mayor, did you just want to touch on the specific proposal as far as making minor one-way and the Jersey barriers and?
So what we have thought about, or what we're looking at doing now, and response from CDOT, because I called CDOT and asked them if they would loan us, because we were at about 50 Jersey barriers, which is quite a bit. We're going to need some help getting them over here. Potentially need some help to set them. So our idea is about 14 to 15 feet off of the north curb line. We'll place these barriers in front of the businesses that said, hey, I will activate that space and use it. And we'll activate that. So they'll have from the curb line out to about 15 feet. What that does, it leaves us plenty of parallel parking on the south curb line. There still will be pickup places, a 15-minute pickup for curbside and delivery in place. And then we'll do one way west to east. That will be the only way that we'll be able to travel on that road. So that'll give us a good swath of pavement there in between the Jersey barrier and the parked cars on the north side, on the south side. The reason that I told this to the group, that I would not allow us to do this without Jersey barriers. I was not going to allow us to bring in these metal railings like we had in the summertime. That was all in fine to mark your area with no vehicular traffic. But as soon as cars are driving down one way, two way, whatever, I demanded that there would be some barrier in between where people would be sitting and a car. We needed something that, when it's icy, if somebody went to a slide, they would hit that Jersey barrier and bounce off of it. And that protects our visitors for our community. And everybody agreed 100% that was the right thing to do. So,
Mike, to avoid looking like a construction zone, maybe we can have some sort of a contest for the artistic types to actually decorate them.
Bob,
oh,
ask Andy. That's exactly what I said the other day. Maybe we get some people that, of course, these are going to be on loan, so we don't know really what we can do with them. But yeah, could we get some artists up here to do some what are the things they do on walls?
Mural.
To do some murals. Or here's the other thing: if we can't do that, what I'd really like to do is look at the outside of the barrier and then ask CDOT, could we just paint those the same color as what they're putting out on the highway, so it's all consistent, looks pretty, because we know that these Jersey barriers can really look ugly. And you're exactly right, Bob. It can look like a zone. And I think
if we
one
can
way
make
or
it
another,
look,
I'm sure that they'll allow us to do something.
yeah, if
If
we
we're
can
just
make them look pretty,
sorry, Bob.
I was just going to say, if we could make them look pretty somehow, we would be famous worldwide.
All right. Okay, council, anything else on the work session items? Andy, nobody's
other
gonna give
specific
a bio
proposal,
break here.
the other specific proposal that was brought up in the meeting today was closing 16th and putting some picnic tables out there. Do we want to get any feedback from council on that idea?
Yeah, I mentioned it. Does anybody have any ideas or thoughts about that besides John Bordoni?
I think that's cool.
I think we should look at it.
Yes,
And of course, the other thing that we're going to need to do is take this through our public health director to make sure that what we're doing, and because we're actually kind of saying you can group in this open space outside, and we're just going to run it by him and make sure that what we're doing is going to be okay.
Well, I'll tell you my concern, Mayor, is if
okay. You got 3 minutes to go to the bathroom, so all right, we'll listen to John Bordoni for a second.
if you close 16th, then you're only going to have one exit out of the parking lot, and that's 17th. And I'm sure if you've driven back there with the construction, it's not great.
Actually, so 16th is actually an egress. You're right. We'll have 17th and 14th.
14th, you're going the wrong way. Well, 14th, but how are you going to get to 14th through 15th unless you go the wrong way up the street?
Well, it's just, people are going diagonally. I think what we're gonna have to do is just delineate that people can make a right and go out diagonally across the street like they did all summer.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that's the best idea, but I just wanted to remind you that that's how people get in and out.
No, I know how they get in and out, but I just don't think it's ideal to do it that way.
Yeah.
Have you got the snow removal figured out, John?
On which part?
Everywhere, I guess, on the street of Minor.
If we put picnic tables on 16th, there's no way we can do snow removal on 16th.
Yeah,
So-
all the snow will have to be removed around all the picnic tables. Somebody's going to be doing that too.
That's true. And Minor Street, I mean, we can plow it like we do, only plow half of the street. And then, like the mayor said, the merchants are going to be responsible for removing the snow behind the barrier, which they're just basically going to throw it out into the street. So I don't know of any other way to do it.
It's going to be a little interesting.
Yep. And as you heard this from me before, and Andy's going to add, adaptive management. You know, we try things and we see how it works, and we are a good community to saying, you know what, this isn't working right. We need to try this. And we just move some things. If we have to say, well, this 16th Street being closed is just not going to help our traffic movements through our downtown area, we may have to reconsider. Or we get a winter that dumps so much snow that nobody's going to sit out there anyway, and then it's a void. All right. Is that it? Any other questions, please? All right, everybody take a couple of minutes and we'll see you back here in just a few for our regular meeting. Thank you.
Hey, Mayor. Oh, did he leave already? Oh, there he is. Mayor?
Carmen?
Hey, I was going to mention something, but considering the dwindling seconds, I will just email you, okay? There's a temporary liquor law that allows for a communal, like a group outdoor dining area, right? Maybe you've heard of this. And it's not, how would I say this? It's sort of like an emergency common consumption area just in the time of COVID. And it doesn't require the many, many, many steps that a common consumption area would usually require. It's a big deal to get one of those. But we have a temporary allowance for something like that. It requires cooperation, which it sounds like you have from these business owners. So I'm going to shoot you an email, and I'm going to attach you and Andy the temporary liquor rule that allows for this, so that you can review it yourself and you can share it with the business owners, and that if you and council want to allow that kind of thing locally, we can do that pretty quick.
Okay. Good. Because that was a huge topic today. Our meeting usually is an hour, and we went almost 2 hours. So good. Yeah, I wish I would have known that ahead of time. But yeah, shoot that to Andy and I, and we can relay that and put a plan into it. What we're going to do is we're going to put the plan into play and then present it. We're going to say we're the best in the world.
Yep. State liquor didn't allow that at first in response to COVID, but like later in the spring into the summer, they started recognizing this issue. And so I think we can get at it quicker to allow people to do that kind of thing. I'll send it to you. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Carmen. Thank you very much.
Carmen, I might just add, one of the things we talked about is maybe phasing it. That if we go with the tables, just go with the tables as a place to sit and eat your food, but no liquor, and then maybe upgrade it as we go along. So see how it works, because there are some concerns with closing down 16th, but just like all these businesses, just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and it's fairly easy to shut down 16th and put out pictures.
Right. And you're right.
Jersey barriers are a little more, they're harder to move around.
Yeah. And if it were just food, at least for a bit to sort of see, then we wouldn't have all this liquor licensing hoo-ha. So yeah, maybe that's a phase B or phase 2 of this whole thing, and that's fine. So I'll send you the rule, you and
Thank-
Mayor.
Thank you.
Get away with it. It's not television.
Sure.
Hope Jim is okay.
I'm good. I'm here.
All right, looks like all of us are back. It is 7:04, November 23rd, 2020. This is our regular scheduled city council meeting. Can I have roll call, please?
Mike Hillman,
Here.
Bob Boland,
Here.
Scott Pennell,
Here.
John Curtis,
Here.
Chuck Harmon, Art Cacavelli,
Here.
Jim Clark.
Here.
Please stand with us for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge the
Allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America,
to
to the republic
for
which stands
One
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty.
liberty,
with justice for
for
all.
all.
Thank you. Please. We have an agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion?
I know I would like to approve the agenda and make an amendment.
All right, and the amendment will be a vote on financial participation with the rec district for their slice rink endeavor. Okay.
You read my mind. That's exactly. So I'd like to approve the agenda as amended.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
And Scott, second. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any opposed? We have an agenda. Does anybody tonight feel they have a conflict of interest?
Yes, I do. I believe item 11A under planning, I need to recuse myself.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Anybody else? All right. That has been noted. We will move to the minutes. Everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from our last meeting, and do I have a motion?
I would like to move that we approve the minutes from the November 9th, 2020 meeting.
Do I have a second?
A second.
And that's Art second. Discussion. Do you have any questions on the bills that need to be verified and clarified?
Minutes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm on the minutes. Is it? For that, all in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Diane, for keeping me in line. Now we'll move to the bills. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the bills to November 23rd, 2020.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
We got a second. Discussion. Now we can ask about bills.
I have some questions about the bills.
Okay.
Guys.
You got ahead, Art.
Page 3, Planning Services, Community Matters Institute, C-157. My curiosity is, I see a total, and I'm sure it's been justified and audited, but I'm concerned is there any way we can get a detailed report so we see exactly what they're doing, being they're spending our money? I know you guys are, but I'm just curious from my standpoint to see what's going on.
So Art, this is Barb. We provide the city with a very detailed bill. And
Right.
since we have started, the cost to the city for our services is approximately $1,750 a month. The rest of our time gets billed to the developers. I have asked Andy if there's a better way for us to show, because we provide a pretty detailed bill and then accounting of our hours. And I guess my question to council, I know that JVA and Carmen break that, somehow their hours get broken down in terms of what is a cost to the city and what is paid by the developers. So I just need some guidance on how we might do that.
I think, Barb, if you would work up a spreadsheet of some sort, so Andy's gonna, Andy?
So I was just going to say, there is a detailed invoice provided by Community Matters each month, and I can provide that to council.
But Andy, is there a way, like with Carmen and with JVA, where we can, and I've asked, Bob in our office, should we send a couple bills or whatever? But I mean, the cost to the city for our services is far less than the cost of having a full-time planner. And I don't know how, because we break it down in one invoice, would it be better for council to give you a number of invoices? So this got billed to Argo, this got billed to 2800 Minor, whatever. But I think it would be helpful. And in particular, we also provide a breakdown of our activities. And it seems that those, and we send it to you, Andy, for planning commission packets, but I think it also would be very helpful for city council just to see what activities we are working on. And I mean, we send that stuff and somehow it goes into a deep hole. So I don't know how to get it to the council people because they think it's important.
And I've heard Art mention this on a few occasions about, especially about our planning services. So I do think that would be advantageous for us to have some sort of breakdown so we can see for ourselves and council can see for themselves that we are not on the hook for all this $14,845. And just what you said, Barb, the $1,750 a month, that does equate to much less than a hired planner. So if we're only paying $1,750 a month on average, I think we're getting bang for our buck.
Well, I don't disagree with any of that, and I'm glad the cost is down. And once again, I just want to see the detail, like you just said, Mayor, for clarity and being informed a little better. The difference, and I know Barb does a great job, and by no means do I mean to be rude or ignorant in any way, but sometimes I'm concerned about a planner that's working for the city might have more of a vested interest in the decisions that come forward. And so that's one of my considerations as well, and of course, saving us as much money as we can. So, there's a dual purpose here for me. But if we can get that detail, that would solve part of it for me, and I would be very, hopefully the other members would be happy as well. And not to extend, but I would like this same thing. I was going to question, the legal fees, if we could see some of that, if that's privy to us, that would be beneficial too. And maybe I wouldn't waste everybody's time on these meetings asking about, those particular amounts when I would have the detail and have a better understanding.
Yeah. So Andy, just so I understand, because we've tried to provide pretty detailed, it's hours per project that we provide in detail in an Excel spreadsheet. But I'm wondering if by the end of the year, if we provide sort of a planning department, community development department overview of what it's cost the city since we started in late March, and sort of how the projects have broken down in terms of our time, if that is something, Art, that would be helpful for you.
It would. And the next question is, when we see all these bills and what have you, and I've heard on frequent meetings that we get reimbursed for certain items, where do we see the reimbursements come from? Where do we see that number come back that we're getting back from, in this case, the developers? I guess in all cases that I'm referring to have been developers. Where do we see that money come back into our coffers? The council. I know you probably see it at City Hall, but where do we see it, just to kind of make me able to sleep a little better at night?
There's a line item in the general fund revenue, line item in the general fund.
And it says reimbursement per whomever.
It's for all development cost reimbursements.
So is that broken down anywhere by the name of the developer, so we see that so-and-so has repaid us back, or is that not necessary for us to see?
It's not in the budget, but I can get that breakdown to you if you'd like to see that.
Yeah, I really would. I'm sorry. I have a degree in accounting, so
And I don't want to get off topic here, but is there some way, because I've looked at JBA's bills, I've looked at Carmen's bills, and I've looked at our bills, in sort of the accounting for all three of your sort of contract staff is not the same. Should we be billing perhaps something that is cost to the city and then another bill that's accounts receivable? Would that help?
I think this is an internal discussion with maybe bringing Lorraine in to help us get this situated and come up with some sort of spreadsheet that it has. You have Project Mike Hillman. This is how much it has been spent. This is the breakdown of legal, planning, and engineering services under that development. I think that'd be very easy for us to craft internally to get that information into some sort of spreadsheet, so everybody can see. That's a great question, Councilman Bailey. We want to see how it breaks down. How much is responsibility of the developer? How much is the responsibility from the developer to the three legal, engineering, and planning?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree. Thank you for your support.
That will be something that we start working on immediately. Other items on the bills that you have questions about, Art?
No, sir. That's all I had with those two main ones.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. I need roll call.
Michael Hillman.
Yes.
Bob Bolin. Scott Pennell.
Yes.
John Curtis.
Yes.
Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Art Cacavelli.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right. John, Diane, do I have any unscheduled public comment tonight?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. We don't have planning community development. That's where we're at now. At this time, we'll ask Bob Boland to step away.
Yep.
When we go through this this portion of our agenda. All right. Hi, Jan. Do I have a motion?
I would move to approve the annexation agreement. Mary Jane annexation numbers 3, 4, and 5.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jim Clark, second. All right, open for discussion.
Yeah, I have a question on page 3, number 3, A.
Okay, go right ahead, Art.
My curiosity is, and probably Carmen probably would want to answer this, is that an automatic that when somebody annexes property and they annex into a special district that it automatically would go into that district, or is it a possibility for one to say, well, let's take that separate from the special district that may have been okay before, just to see if the boundaries are too large, or for whatever reason, give us an opportunity to take a look at that as well? Or is that just kind of a gimme and kind of a minor point?
The special districts are separate legal entities from the city, of course, right? Those are formed and operate distinctly from the municipality. As such, it is the district's call on whether or not to add property, regardless of our call as a municipality about adding property. So it is not automatic. I think was the crux of your question, that property brought within would also be therefore sort of ipso facto also added to the district. That needs to be done, and the district gets to evaluate that separately.
So A, we have no, I mean, A is an automatic. We have no legal standing to say we would like to vote on that separately. Is that what you're saying?
We have no legal standing to say what?
That we would like to vote on allowing or not allowing the annexed property to be part of the special district.
You don't have jurisdiction to say that.
Then why is it in there?
That section clarifies whose obligation it is to pursue that.
Okay, so they have the option to include it or not include it.
Yeah, that section basically says, hey, annexing party, it's not automatic. We're not doing that for you as a city. You need to pursue that yourselves.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other discussion or questions? Can I have roll call, please?
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Right, motion passes. We can ask Bob Boland to come back in.
I'll get him.
Thank you.
Bob.
Are you on? Thanks all. Another step.
All right, Bob.
Yeah.
City Attorney, do you have anything for us tonight?
No.
No. All right, thank you. We will move down to resolutions. Do I have a motion?
I would move to approve resolution number 29, series 2020, a resolution approving a water supply agreement with Juniper Mountain House LLC.
Do I have a second?
A second.
And discussion.
Do we know how many acre feet a year we're gonna get?
It was just hardly anything. I don't know the exact number on that, John, but I know it was not much at all. Andy, do you have that asked, or Carmen?
If I remember correctly, Councilman Curtis, I think it was about 3,000 gallons per year.
Oh, 1 acre foot.
It's a very small amount.
Yeah. And this is that up there by Blackstone, or these are those cabins. This is not the marijuana grow, right?
No, this is actually over towards Evergreen.
Evergreen. So what do they need the water for?
To augment their well, basically.
Should we be waiting for the water study next year? We budgeted for a water study.
This was.
I'm sorry, John. Sorry, John. Just, I'll add it. It's I just looked at the agreement, Councilor Curtis, and it's a quarter of an acre foot per year. And again, as John said, to supplement their wells or augment they're taking from the wells that are on site essentially for some, I think, lodging. And just, I'm not a water attorney, I'm happy to say, but I'm also happy to say that the city's water attorney, Mr. David Hayes, did engage in negotiating this agreement with Juniper House and reviewed it. So your water council, your specific water council has taken a look at this, Councilor Curtis. Sorry, John.
No, I was just going to reiterate that the HRS, our water engineer, and our water attorney both looked at this agreement and they are okay with it.
And costs? Did I see? I didn't see a cost on here, did I?
Councilor Curtis, the city is receiving $2,500 a year for the 1/4 acre.
Oh, that's right. Okay, now I remember. It just wasn't in this.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the packet either, the actual agreement. I apologize.
Okay, any other questions on this item? Can I have roll call, please?
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
John Curtis,
No.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli, Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Yes, Diane.
Thank you.
We are going to move down to our, we've got an ordinance second reading. We need to put a date in here. Do we know what that date was, Andy?
That had not been selected, but that be happy to look at a calendar for council if you'd like to pick one.
And council, may I? Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor.
I was just making sure that it's any requirements that we need to, is there a certain amount of time or something that we need to look at as we're coming up with a date?
No, sir. And just to be real clear with council and the public, if it is council's desire and intent to pretty soon here, within the next month or so, pick this back up again and consider it formally, I would suggest maybe keep that time frame at about 60 to 90 days. If it's council's desire to spend a little more time than that, reflecting on this, studying this, then I would suggest simply tabling it to a future meeting. And I would say that would eliminate the need to specify a date certain. All we as staff would need to do is publish one notice in the paper. This is not a development application where we're noticing a public hearing that other parties are coming, etc. So it would be fairly cheap and easy for staff to simply renotice this if you want to set it out a little further than the next month or two. That's what I would say, Mayor.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion. I make a motion on ordinance number 15, series 2020, an an ordinance amending section 21-77 of chapter 21 land development regulations of the Idaho Springs Municipal Code concerning inclusionary housing. I move to continue the public hearing in consideration of ordinance number 15 for 90 days. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconds on the table. Discussion.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have to have a meeting date?
Yeah, I was gonna say, could we pick a Monday that's close to then?
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we, let's see. We got
Sorry, I should have been more clear.
March 1st, March 2nd.
Sure.
Is that a Monday night, Art?
Oh, I'm just blabbing. I have no idea.
March 1st.
Let's move it to March 1st.
Sure, there you go. That's a Monday. Great.
Okay, to March 1st. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Discussion. Roll call. Oh,
So the first regular meeting in March would be March 8th. Do you want to go to a regular meeting March 8th?
yes.
Okay, let's go with, I would recommend March
Well,
8th.
I say what we do is we put it back on a work session on March 1st and then take it to March 8th.
Understood.
All right, roll call.
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Andy, we're going to get you your staff report. And what I would like to do is have the motion to support the slice rink with the rec district.
Okay. Mayor and Council, you have my report with no request for action other than the one that was just added on the ice rink.
All right, do I have a motion?
I would move to approve the $2,500 support for the Glice rink that the rec center would like to put up on the digger field.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, discussion. What was
discussion on that or Andy's report, period?
Well,
on that subject?
We've got this motion on the table.
Okay,
so
all right.
This is discussion about the motion.
Okay.
I happen to notice that Dr. Ryan, I believe, signed off on this as well. I think it's great that people from really of all ages will be able to do something outside and maybe shake off some cabin fever. I'd also like to point out, there really isn't any way that we can derive the benefit, but I think we all know it's not going to cost us $2,500 as a city, because there's a lot of I-70 visibility. And I think that it will certainly lead to some economic activity that the town will benefit from.
I think it'd be beneficial if we get lighting out there somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
They talked about solar, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
They talked about solar. I think they've got a pretty good plan.
Yeah, they're definitely on the right side of the road, so.
So if we're not going to spend, we've got some money for community events that we didn't partner up and help fund this year. Plus it looks like that our Christmas tree lighting is going to be, the cost of that's going to be near nothing. I would just throw out there, would council be supportive of actually giving a little bit more money, just as whoever said about the tax revenue that we would be recouping from this being in place in our community. Does anybody have any desire to maybe put a little bit of extra money to help the rec district out?
I think it would be a really nice token. It wouldn't cost much more. It would send a terrific message, I think, of support to go a little more than what they're asking for. I think the message would be a lot bigger than the number of dollars.
Could we have a separate motion at a different time about helping them with lighting? Because I think lighting's going to be a big plus right alongside the highway there.
I think I would probably rather have an amount and then just allow them to spend it in the way that they need to spend it. instead of bringing it back to council. That's just my thought.
Mike, did you have an amount in mind?
I would say $3,500. Let's throw another 1,000 at it.
Sounds good.
I'd like to amend my motion to make the amount $3,500.
And do I have a second to support?
Second.
Motion is second. Now more discussion.
I just had one question. I may have missed it. Did she say it was going to be only 15 to 20 people on the rink at one time?
25
Their
minutes.
limits could be 25.
25.
And did she say how they were controlled? I mean, if there's 25 more people waiting, or what, is there any, maybe I should ask her, any plan on how you
we actually still have Cameron on that. Maybe she could speak to that. Okay.
I'm happy to answer any questions. The question is in regards to the capacity on the ice.
Yes.
Well, the capacity and how you're going to turn over the number of people if there's more. If you have 25 and there's people waiting, how do you limit, or do you just the natural exhaustion of the people will cause the turnover?
Yeah, so we're going to do it very similarly to how we manage the sessions here in the rec district now that we're under COVID regulations. So you have a designated period of time, and then we give a warning, 5 minutes remaining in your session. Then everybody would need to clear the ice before the next group can come on. Sam, do you have anything you might want to add to that?
So you actually have session times, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, so just like Cameron said, we'll have a booking system, and part of the booking system as well is to make sure that we have the ability to do contact tracing if need be, which is unlikely outside, but just in the event of that.
Thank you.
Did I hear you say that during the week it's 4 to 6 is all 2 hours?
So that's currently what we're looking at. I think it'll depend on what happens with the kids at school as well, that potentially we could extend earlier. And as you mentioned too, if we had lighting, we would be able to extend the operation later on, but that's an additional cost for us. So we're kind of weighing the benefits of that at this time.
Okay, anything else? Roll call.
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Bob Bolin,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You guys
Thank
have to
you.
come and do some skating.
All right.
Thank you.
Andy's already putting together a hockey team, so I don't know what that's about.
We better buy more ice.
All right. Thanks, Cameron, Samantha, for being with us.
Thank you.
Glad we could get that done for you. We will move, other questions on Andy's.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. The Clear Creek Economic Development Corporation, do they ever publish what they've done, who they've spoken to, who they're trying to get to come here, how they're trying to lure people to come here, and any report on any activity in that area that would be beneficial for us to have knowledge of?
So one thing about that, Art, I was just nominated to be the chairman of that board, and we are going to go into what's called a strategic framework and start lining these things out. And those are some of the things that we will start directing our economic development director to start doing. And John's shaking his head yes, because he knows what I'm talking about. So yes, we are going to reorganize the way that we do things at the economic development, and these reports in the near future will be available on the website.
Okay, because I think we've got some opportunities out there. I would hope so. And then as far as the district's surplus property school from the Board of Education, did they enlighten you at all on but what the bids, if anybody bid on that property, the surplus property, and what what the
So-
details might be? Is that
Yeah,
public?
what happened, Art, is on Tuesday night last week, that there was a school board meeting, business meeting, and then go into presentations from some of the proposals that they received. There was 4 proposals that were presented that night. They went into a very lengthy discussion about the direction that they were looking at. And at the end of the day, the only ones that they put an option on was the football field and the bus barn. Of course, that's really preliminary because there's a lot of devil in the details that have to be sorted out. I know that the school district was going to reach out to 4 Points is the one that they were most interested in, and start some negotiating factors and to see how they can get to where they want to be.
Do you know if they ever actually had that property appraised?
They did a full-blown assessment on Carlson Elementary current and that building. So I would assume that information is in that assessment.
So that they're thinking of getting rid of the elementary school as well?
Well, it hasn't been, publicly noticed, but I know there's been some high-level discussion about how it would make sense to move the elementary school over inside that building and build a state-of-the-art facility inside that building. And a couple of the things that they were looking at, the cost of upgrading Carlson current was up around $10 million. And that really didn't get them to all the way to being a state-of-the-art school. That just did the necessary needs on that school to make it last another 15 or 20 years. And then the offset of modifying and building a new school inside the 103 building is what we're calling it. The deficit, it looked like by the time that they figured out how much it would cost, if they could sell the Carlson downtown property, the current property, they would be right up against about the $22 million that it's going to cost to build a brand new school for us. So I have not heard any ruling on that, but I know that's a huge idea that's been kicked around with the school board, and that was the reason that the assessment was done on both properties.
Okay, as far as any of that property being sold, the zoning would still be under our jurisdiction, even though it's school property?
Absolutely. Right now, it is currently zoned, the bus barn is zoned C1, I believe, and the football field is zoned Parks and Rec. So yes, whatever that would be, a long process. What's your idea? What you got to put here? And then they're really figuring out to bring it to the city to see if they may flip it and do what they want to do on the bus barn property and still leave the football field as park. We don't have any idea at this point we've got an idea what they want to do, but as far as the details, we don't have anything at this point.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right. Does anybody else have any questions for Andy? All right, thanks, Andy. We will move down to Diane, City Clerk.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Diane.
Mayor and Council, I have my staff report for your review with no requests for action, but I'd like to point out that Lou Howard is here tonight with her extraordinary group of volunteers. If council has any questions for her.
So first, I want to introduce Lou Howard. Without Lou taking care of our cemetery, we'd probably need about 3 other, we need to hire about 3 more staff members for John to take care of that thing. I don't know how long Lou's been, because it was way before I ever got here. She could probably tell us how long she's been working on that. As you saw in our packet, some of the things that they do up there, and we can tell that she really likes doing this for our community. This is something that she puts her own time into. She's not paid for it. She does an outstanding job, and we really appreciate what she does. So Lou, you want to address council?
Oh, I don't really have much to say, but just the one item as far as getting Headstone engraved. for the first mayor of Idaho Springs. And I don't have an estimate for that. If that is something that the city would pay for, I will pursue that because I think it's important that he be on a headstone.
Okay. Is there money available through the Hanson Trust? Do we generate enough interest off of that to use it, make a difference?
I think there's enough money.
And we can just spin that down?
Not in the trust, but there is a cemetery fund.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Lou?
No questions, but if anyone hasn't read Lou's extraordinary report in the packet, you need to do it. It's absolutely amazing. And Lou, I can't thank you enough, really.
Well, thank you, Bob.
Bob, you're right. And an observation, I had the pleasure spending about 3 hours with Lou, a little over a month ago at the cemetery. And I don't know where she finds these people, but she talks in her report about the stairs. They're really desperately needed. And the amount of stair work, the concrete stair work that she has had done over the years, far from only about $5,000, I was shocked. I was expecting a fraction of the work that was done. So he obviously has very generous as well as very talented people who she's working with.
And Lou, if you would give me a list of those folks that help you out up there, I'd like to recognize at one of our future meetings. But I think that us knowing the names of the people that really volunteer and help keep that place looking
Okay,
really well and clear.
They're pretty much in the report. And then there are people who help every May, but we weren't able to do that this year. So I turn that in actually every year to Diane for the insurance company. So I'll get that for you.
Okay.
And Lou, I think that you did a good job naming the volunteers. I honestly don't remember if Chris Alley, who had done all the concrete work, now he's not a volunteer, but he sure does not charge very much when you look at all the work that was done for a very minimal amount of money. But that was the person that's doing the concrete work's name is Chris Alley.
Yes, it is. He donates part of his time.
Yeah, Lou, he would have to get all that done is remarkable. And to further answer the mayor's question about the money, I know that the Historical Society holds about $5,000 ish of the original $10,000 the brother and sister had donated a few years ago.
Correct.
All right. Any other questions for Lou? Thanks again, Lou. And yeah, I will. And I guess I saw some things on it, Gary Geller, David, and Jeannie Schuessler. And yes, we want to definitely recognize them as being part of this part. So good job, everybody. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll move down to PD, Chief.
Mayor and Council, I'll refer you to my report. I do have a request for action and also several comments about the report. My request for action is permission from the council to dispose of our 2004 Crown Victoria. I'd like to request that we offer it to either CDOT or the Fire Authority for training.
All right, we usually have John take care of that. So John, how much are you gonna get for that thing, that Crown Vic?
I'm always gonna get something, but.
Well, here's the thing, the staff hours, the cost of depolicing it is gonna far exceed the cost of the value of the car. So.
Does it work for one of the staging vehicles out on the highway?
It does, but there's still cost involved. When we stage it out on the interstate, we get $15 an hour for just to park it there. But it, several times through the day it stalls, the battery runs dead. We have to go jump start it, let it idle again. So I think it's time to retire that vehicle.
Do we need to put that on a future vote? Carmen, do we need to vote on that at a future meeting? Since we're disposing of city
Yeah,
property.
you probably do. I mean, I think you can, it rests with council, the authority to dispose of property owned by the city. I think you could give direction to pursue that, and you could sort of approve the amounts at a future meeting, Mayor.
Okay, and that's what we'll do. We'll have John go ahead and start working on that, and we'll put it on a regular meeting. I don't know if it was mentioned, if everybody remembers, but with the posting for new police chief, we have included a new vehicle in that. Chief did not put in his budget this year to buy another police car, but as we discussed and talked with KOW, we thought this would be good to go ahead and get a new police car for the new chief that comes in. So we'll be putting that in our budget. Andy?
So, couldn't we handle this with an action item under the chief's report to dispose of this vehicle?
I believe the other vehicles, this is exactly how we did it. It was just a request for action, and we disposed of it.
Council, if you want to give authority to dispose of the property without knowing the value you're getting in return, that's your choice. You could do that.
So Chief, just to be clear, I think your recommendation, if I know we talked about this, is to not sell it outright, but to donate it.
Yeah, yeah. There's
because of the cost of equipment.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if I would donate it to anybody but the fire authority for training.
Thanks for that clarification, Andy. Gotcha.
It has some sort of significant mechanical issue too, I believe, right?
It has, yeah, it does. I mean, it still drives, but the cost of the repair is more expensive than the value of the car. What Jimmy did when they looked at it for me was they determined that radiator fluid is leaking into the engine block. Is that right, Jim?
That's correct.
Okay. So, the cost of the repair far exceeds the value of the car.
All right, let's talk to Kelly and let's see if the fire authority wants to take that on.
Okay. All right. And the other things I just wanted to bring up is, I'm sorry, I got the stat, but I forgot to include it in the report. But our calls for service between November 5th and the 17th was 302 calls. That was one day short from our usual 14-day cycle because I did the report a day early as Cindy wasn't available the next day. So we're still pulling in about 22 to 24 calls a day. Of course, some of those calls, many of those calls are very simple, and there are others that are more complicated, which can take an officer off the street for much of the day. The last page, and I'm going to start doing this regularly, provide you this monthly report, but you'll see what our stats are. You might notice that for March, April, May, we had a little bit of a surge in traffic enforcement. That surge is a result of officers coming in on their days off and working a secondary contract with Graham Construction. So the officers are paid, the city's paid $85 an hour, 60 that goes to the officers, and the remainder comes to the city. $25 an hour comes to the city. So that's why we saw that surge there. Of course, they're working in construction zones, so the assessment by the judge is generally doubled. So I anticipate we're going to exceed our calls for service as compared to last year, but not by a great great number.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Chief?
Yeah, I do. I was just wondering what your thoughts might be as the pandemic rolls on, if you see any trends with people that are maybe a little too locked up or whatever.
Well, we saw that towards the end of the first, for lack of other words, people confining themselves at homes. There were a number of instances where we were going to homes that we had never been to before, and what it turned out was people were getting cabin fever. I think it's very important that we emphasize to people, you can get out of your house, you can go for a walk. You can go fishing. There are things you can still do. The forest is open again. So of course they can engage in activities related to the forest. I think in light of your question, Councilman, I think we really need to campaign the fact that, people can't get out of their homes.
All right. Thank you.
Andy, you had a question?
So Mayor, just to be clear on the disposal of the vehicles, I would suggest that council take formal vote on that as an action item to dispose of that vehicle.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve a request for action that we dispose of the 2004 Ford Crown Victoria to the fire authority if that's so wished by them.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, our second discussion. All right, roll call.
Michael Hellman,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
Chuck Pennell,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right. Do we have anything else for the chief? All right, thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. John Bordoni, Public Works, Water and Wastewater.
Mayor and council, you have my staff report before you, and I have no request for action.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for John?
Pretty self-explanatory.
As you know, we had the spill last weekend, weekend or 2 weekends ago.
November 7th.
November 7th. John Bordoni has done his due diligence and has taken the bull by the horns and made sure that all the reporting and anything that we needed to do was in place. And make sure that we reported properly and time, make sure that the time of the reporting was under the CDPHA rules for spills like that. So John Bordoni has really made sure that we were covered. All the reporting has been done to the state. And we've also had Wayne Ramey kind of involved in that to make sure, all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. So thank you, John, for that. Thank you for all of our department heads. This is a tough time. I know you're all just kind of balancing your employees, trying to keep them safe and healthy from COVID and getting the most out of them that we can. So I really appreciate that. All right. Nobody else has any comments for or questions for John?
Not for John, but Mayor, I'm sure you heard that our former mayor passed away this weekend.
Yes, I did. If council and public doesn't know, Jack Morgan did pass away. I believe it was Friday into Saturday. Is that correct, Chief? So we will keep our ears out for services that might be had by his family. So Jack Morgan's been in this community a long time, and he was ornery, but he was a good guy. So, all right, with that and nothing else, it is 7:56, and we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everybody. Good work.
Hey, thank you.
Thanksgiving, everyone. Be safe.
Oh, and have a good Thanksgiving.
That's right. You
Yeah.
turkey.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Be safe out there, everyone.
Okay. Everybody, thank you.